Welcome to Free Will, Science, and Religion. I'm Chandler Klebs, and today I'm here with George Ortega and Will. And Will was
Some
talking.
could call me wsdtime, but yeah.
Yeah, WSD time is what he also know him by, but his short name is Will.
Yeah.
Yeah. So anyway, Will, you were talking about how you feel like we still have a little bit of choice somehow.
Yeah, partial free will, as I said it earlier.
Yeah. So maybe you could explain that.
I feel like it's like when I'll give another example like that my cherry with my before we started this podcast, that cheesesteak thing. I'm going to the store and I say I feel like eating a cheesesteak. I say go there and get a cheesesteak. Tastes delicious. So yeah, just like I want to go video game shopping and I want this one particular game. I picked up this particular game, have fun, enjoy it. So you saying if illusion free will, it feels like it's free will, but at the same time, I can kind of see why it's illusion because there's certain circumstances that happen in the world.
Well, let's explore that, Will. So, like, basically, let's say you decide to buy and eat a cheese steak, and so then the one question we can ask is like, was it up to you that you like the taste of cheesecakes or cheesesteaks?
Well, to me, it still feels like it.
It was it feels like to you it feels like it was up to you to like cheesesteaks that
Yes,
you decided. Well, wait a minute. Like, are there any foods that you don't like?
black eyed peas.
Okay, now could you just decide to like them if you wanted to?
No.
All right, so like so couldn't we apply that to the foods you like? I mean, could you decide to not like cheesesteaks if you wanted to?
I see what you're saying. No, I can't decide.
Right.
But at the same time, I also like pizza, and I also like hamburgers. So I could have picked any one of those.
Right, but it would be the same kind of question. Like, is it in our power to decide which foods we like and which we don't?
Far as a whole, yes, I see what you're saying.
Yeah. See, my take on this is very interesting because a lot of people, when they think of their choice or their free will, a lot of people just have this idea that it means, oh, doing what I want, which is actually, we're not even contesting that. We're not denying that if somebody wants a certain food, that they can eat that food they want if they have the money to buy it. Because obviously that would be absurd if we were saying that you can't eat what you want. Rather, we're talking more about that you are not responsible for the prior causes, including your genetics and everything you've been taught, the country you were born into, all of those things that factored into what kinds of foods you've tried in your life and which of those foods that you like the taste of, or perhaps there might be other reasons why you eat a food besides the taste too. Like, in my case, I do stuff like that.
Oh, health reasons.
Yeah. So like this is hey George, you know what? This fits into our thing about, the whole fat shaming and the weight loss thing and
Oh yeah, speaking of fat shaming, I don't mean to cut you off, but try to telling Nicole Arbor this, if you can.
Say that again?
Good luck.
Yeah, Nicole Arbor, because I sent out that video by Nicole Arbor, I think was her name, and it was basically a fat shaming video. She's acting like that people will just lose weight if they choose to just stop eating, and she was just
No, it doesn't work that way.
right. It
Because the
does.
metabolism has a lot more to play a bigger role to play in that than people think it does. My cousin eats like a freaking horse.
Exactly.
But you look at him, he's tall, lanky, and yet still in shape.
So, Will, isn't that an example of our not having free will? In other words, like, I want to lose like 10 pounds, and I've been trying to lose this 10 pounds for like months now. I'm beginning to, I hope, I think. But, if I had a free will, I would have lost this 10 pounds, 6 months ago.
Oh yeah, definitely.
Oh, yeah.
I can stand to lose his gut here.
Yeah.
Well, guys, I think what people are dismissing two things. First of all, they are dismissing both nature and nurture. They are dismissing the vast, wide genetic differences between people that allows some people who are eating the exact same diet as somebody else, the same amount approximately, and the same types of food, are really skinny while somebody else is really fat and they're eating the exact same diet seriously.
Uh huh.
So we can't ignore metabolism and genetics and thyroid conditions and all sorts of.
Oh yeah, thyroid. You gotta pay attention to that. You don't pay attention to that. That yeah.
There's so much to it just from the biological level that we don't choose, and that's why I would never shame somebody for being fat or whatever.
That's why I don't
Chandler,
do it anymore. Just like
Chandler, I
I
want
work about my job, just like I work at my job. They get people talk about this. You never hear me say, talk about this girl in there. She said, why don't you like Mike? I said, no, it's her personality. And they like what? And one person said maybe because she's fat. I said, nope. I ain't say nothing about her weight.
Okay. And that's another thing. So, like, can we decide to like
Huh?
someone, if we want to? I mean, like, sometimes we like, like, if it's an attraction to, if we're a guy and we're attracted to a woman or something, can we decide, oh, yeah, I'm going to be attracted to this woman, or, okay, I'm not going to be attracted? Like, so that's another example. Like, this isn't up to us. And even like if we're attracted to a woman, then the next thing is like, can we decide whether we're going to fall in love with her? So again, it seems like
Mm-hmm.
in our everyday experience, there's so many examples that demonstrate very strongly that we don't have a free will.
You're right, George. And our basic preferences or desires, whether it's about food or whether it's about being attracted to certain people in certain ways, we don't have any choice over that because at the most basic level, that is like some kind of genetic thing. There's some kind of predisposition to where we like certain things, and we have no way of explaining why that is because some things we can explain. Well, I like this because I had this experience in life, but you can't explain a lot of things. Because they really are just in us from the start.
And Chandler, I wanted to go back to you were saying kind of like that in a certain sense we're free to want things. We can want things, but I mean, I wanted to address this relative to what this philosopher Schopenhauer said, wrote some time ago. And he basically said, fine, we can want things, but we can't want what we want. Will, like for example, you wanted a cheese steak sandwich, right? So you
Yep.
wanted that, but did you want to want that?
At the
You know,
time, it felt like it.
well, I mean, it felt like you wanted to, right? But were you like, in other words, like that want just came out of like who knows where? You find yourself wanting it, right? In other words, like,
I know I was hungry,
right? And so
and I
that's another,
just
right? Well, will actually, so basically, like, can we decide, of our free will, whether or not we're going to be hungry?
I know I can't. One thing, my stomach start growling, and suddenly
I
tell me,
can't either.
"Ooh,
So like something that's not in our control, in your case, you were hungry, that wasn't in your control, and that caused you to want something to eat. And then, added like, I don't know, maybe you were near a restaurant where they sell cheesecake sandwiches, or for some
corner store,
reason,
they're all over the place in the hood."
okay, so but for
But
some
yeah,
reason that they're probably because like when we make a decision, fundamentally we don't know where it comes from. For some reason that's not in what isn't in your knowledge that that just you're not aware of. You wanted that sandwich, and that's kind of another way of understanding why we don't have a free will. These when we want something, all of a sudden it just comes out of nowhere. We have no idea where it came from.
Yeah, and it's unexplainable. And now here's the interesting thing. Now, like I said, that people ignore nature and nurture. Well, aside from the fact that they ignore nature, which we've already kind of covered, they ignore nurture and the differences in the way people are taught about food or sexuality or religion. If you grew up in I mean, seriously, if you grew up in India or China or even England, there'd be major differences between that and America. So, had we been born in a different country, we might be speaking a different language. We might have a different religion. We might have a whole different way of eating.
A whole different way outlook on life too.
Exactly, because there's a philosophy that each culture kind of has with it.
Right. All right. So, Will, let's explore another kind of like possible, scenario where it feels like you have a free will, and then let's explore to see whether it's a freely willed decision or not. So something
Okay,
other than like, okay,
okay. How about like the game I'm playing, like Champions?
perfect. Okay, it's a video game.
Yes.
Okay. Can you
Like right now,
describe?
my cousin's watching Batman Arkham, the Attack on Arkham,
Okay, so
Assault on
like,
Arkham. Excuse me.
okay, so now you like playing this game. It's called Champion.
Yes, MMO. It's an online MMO,
All right.
free for all. Yeah,
Again,
free play. Excuse me.
we can use the same questions we used for the cheesecake steak sandwich. Basically, first of all, let me ask you: are there people that you know that don't like that game?
That I know of. I know they're out there, but not that I know of.
So, all right, but you can
Like,
concede
another
that,
example, my friend, my cousin, Dewan, he doesn't like Minecraft.
right? I could imagine a lot of women who probably, because I think we guys play video games much more than women. So I could imagine a lot of women who just like don't like any of those games, right?
Yes.
So then we're back at this, like, so like, was it your free will decision to like the game, or do you just happen to like it?
Well, the time when I first started to play it, I heard about it. My son told me to check it out. So it was a trial version at the time before it came free for all, free to play. Excuse me. I keep saying free for all, but when I played it, I liked it, and then stopped playing it, and he kept playing it ever since.
All right, another question, Will. So then, like, are there certain, cause like you tried it and you noticed that you liked it? Can you remember various games, video games, and you played in the past where you played it and you found that you didn't like the game?
Hmm. 1,000 times over.
So yeah, so like, I mean, doesn't that kind of like, just basically explain how like, you're playing the game because you like it, but it really wasn't up to you because, whether you like it or not. You just happen to like it,
Yeah.
just like you just happen to not like other games, right?
Yeah.
So again, that's a very, very clear explanation of why, what we do is really, up to factors that are not in our control. How's that sound, Chandler?
Yeah, it's true because with everything we do, the things that we like and the things we dislike, we don't choose that because if we did, then it would almost take away the meaning of will. It would take away the meaning of desire because you have to.
We'll be robots basically.
Right, and I mean, we are biological robots, and I would say that our desires are sort of what we're programmed to do. It's sort of like, if then if this game exists, then play it. But if this game doesn't exist, you play a different game, that kind of thing.
Yeah. Just like Sonic '06. I'm a huge fan of the Sonic games, but I'm sorry, I hated that game with a burning passion.
Exactly. And like,
Yeah.
and you couldn't have said to yourself, well, like, I'm gonna force myself to like it, right?
Oh no. Well,
Probably
the
not.
reason is just like there's the glitches, the problems that game had, plot holes. Usually plot holes with games I can overlook, as long as the game is fun. But the game
Yep.
wasn't fun.
Yeah. Okay. So let's explore. So like, I mean, I think we're kind of like, reaching an understanding that, with these choices that you make, whether it's a video game or something to eat, that's really not up to you. But let's explore maybe why it feels that it's up to you. Why so many people feel that the decisions that they make are up to them. So, Will, again, like, oh, why, um, can you explain like why some of these decisions feel like, that nothing out of your control is like compelling you to make them?
Hmm. I think yeah, please my pleasure central, my pleasure
Ah,
centers or whatever. Yeah,
excellent. All right. So in other words, you're saying that that you enjoy the idea that what you do is up to you. That makes, and I think, that makes a lot of sense. I think that's probably a very powerful reason why people believe in free will. Because like you were saying before, like, it's not the most pleasant realization or acknowledgement, to conclude that, oh my God, we're biological robots. If, we would, if it was up to us, even though it doesn't really make sense when you think about it, if it was up to us, we would have a free will, right?
yep,
Because so yeah, so I think that's a very important point. So like basically, we like to conclude that we have at least some free will because just the idea of everything being fated, destined, completely out of our control doesn't feel as good as like to feel that things are in our control. Absolutely.
An interesting thought, speaking of control, is think about this. Now, let's just suppose this is a very hypothetical situation that will never happen. But let's just say that I was somehow voted in to be king of the world, okay? What that would mean is I would be quote unquote in control in that whatever I said people had to do because I'm the king, and what the king says goes. So let's say that this happened. Well, here's the deal. So then, but because of this, I ban meat because of how I don't want these animals killed. So because of that, so people would say that Chandler is in control, but in reality, Chandler is controlled by the feeling of empathy for animals that are being slaughtered and doesn't want them to die or be treated as property. And that was caused by prior people doing those things to those animals. And so Chandler is not the first cause. He's only doing as he wills, but he did not make his will what it is.
Well, Chandler, that's a good point. I think what you're saying is like some people believe that some people have more free will than others. I mean, essentially nobody has any free will, but some people might think, well, yeah, if you're in a position of power, if you make decisions that other people have to follow, somehow that might mean that you have a free will or more free will than others. But I think you just explained that no, you're right. I mean, like, even if you were like king of the world, even like God, even like, God makes us do whatever we're doing. If a billion years ago God knew what he was doing today, even God is locked into that. So absolutely, control
yeah,
over other people, control over whatever, does not, in a certain sense, bestow free will.
And it makes a very important point too, because in a sense, you could say that we can control other people more than we can control ourselves because we can't change our desires or our actions that flow from those desires by ourselves. Whereas it's possible for humans to cause other humans to do something or to stop them from doing that, but we don't have the self control that free will would imply.
Yep. All right, so let me ask you, Will, are we kind of like on board in that, like, it feels like we have a free will, but when we explore it, that we have to like admit that no, it's a feeling, it's kind of like an illusion, but the reality is that things that are not in our control kind of like make us like what we like and do what we do. Are we in agreement about that yet, or Will?
yeah, I'm sitting here.
So, all right. So, like, let me ask you the question again. Are we in agreement that basically, after exploring this with the cheese steak, why can't I say that cheese steak sandwich? That's a tongue twister. And
There's
the
a
video
hoagie
game.
actually, but
So, all right. So, like, are we in agreement that those decisions that essentially like it feels like those are freely willed decisions, but when we explore it, we discover that it wasn't up to you to like cheesesteak sandwiches and to like that champion video game, so that even though it felt like you chose to to eat the sandwich and play the game of your free will, that really basically things out of your control kind of like compelled you to do that. Because if we're in agreement about this, then we kind of like can maybe explore what this means, how we can benefit from knowing this.
Yeah, that's a good one. It's a good question.
So I mean, like, so what do you think? Do you still feel like you have some free will, or as from the last 20 minutes that we've been exploring this, can you understand like that this, that it's just a feeling, and like when we explore it, the reality, just is undeniably that it's just a feeling, and it's not, that we don't
I
really
believe
have
it
a
could.
feeling.
It's just a feeling.
All right, so then let me ask you something, Will. So what is one advantage of knowing that you and other people, and the no none of us, nobody has a free will? Why are we doing? What's one good thing that can come from our knowing this?
Hmm. Better understanding of the psyche and better understanding of treating people right.
Exactly. All right. So Chandler, you want to expand on that, like on treating people right, how that leads to it more?
Yeah. See, now interestingly, now some things matter more than others, obviously, in the fact we know that nothing is ultimately in our control. And as far as when it comes to what game Will plays, I think he should play whatever game he wants, and that's cool, we're not concerned with that. Um, but I think the reason it becomes important, I'll bring it back to like, the whole fat shaming issue, is that because if people believe that they have a free will, or that others have a free will, they will blame either themselves or others for their failures at being able to do certain things. And I think it's that blame and the accusation and punishing of people for being different and not being like us that the free will causes.
Will, how's that sound?
That sounds right. It sounds good.
And Chandler, that's the reason, like, we're doing this podcast. That's, I think, the main reason, because it's not only that free will, belief leads us to blame others, and then kind of like, want them to suffer when they do something wrong and stuff. We also direct that blame toward ourselves. When we do things wrong, we feel guilty, and a lot of times we make ourselves feel bad because we conclude that, all right, of our free will, we did something wrong, so we deserve to feel bad. So, this is just one powerful, powerful reason why this free will belief is so harmful.
Yeah. And what's interesting about it is that knowing that we don't have a free will doesn't mean that we aren't still able to do what we want in many cases. And in fact, I'm for helping people do what they want in a lot of cases, And so sometimes somebody might find, well, what is it that helps them quit smoking? What is it that helps them lose weight? People will find these things because information is out there to help people. So it doesn't mean that they won't succeed in their goals and stuff that they are trying to do. But what it does mean is that they something else is going to have to help them. Some outside force is going to have to cause them to do what they aren't able to do by themselves. And I think that's an important thing.
That makes sense.
Yeah, it makes sense.
Yeah, well, you see that basically, like, for example, let's say I want to lose weight, right? And I believe in free will. I might say to myself, all right, well, I guess I want to like eat more than I want to lose weight, and I want that of my free will, and so, like, what can I do? Whereas, like, as Chandler was explaining, if you understand that we don't have a free will, then the next thing that happens is, like, you begin to look for the causes for why we do and why we don't do certain things. So I might ask myself,
Yes.
right, exactly. I might ask myself, all right, what are the causes of me wanting to eat more than me wanting to lose this weight? Okay, or what are the causes of me not wanting to eat enough. So again, like, yeah, the free will belief, it just like leaves everything without any understanding. It was our free will, and that's the end of it. Whereas, like, to the extent we
Yeah.
understand that we'd have a free will, we look for the causes.
Yeah, and in a sort of way, yeah, free will keeps us from looking at the causes of our behavior because it is assumed that there are no causes.
Right. Will, let me ask you something. Because I used to be in politics, and like, follow politics a lot, and a lot of things that politicians said, and did and stuff. I really dislike them so much. Can you see how like overcoming free will belief can help us to kind of like be more understanding toward people,
Yes.
who. So expand on
I
that. How?
understand.
Uh-huh.
Yeah. Hell,
So
speaking of politics, trust me, I still there's one person that I believe should not be president or running to begin with, and y'all probably know who I'm talking about.
the Donald.
Yeah. I
Right.
mean,
So
like he's gonna make America great again. And I'm like thinking, wait a minute. He's not explaining how he's gonna make America great, but yet y'all just eating this up.
exactly. So exactly. Yeah, and he doesn't even he believes actually climate change is a hoax. I mean, the guy's dangerous. If he doesn't understand that climate change is real, that's scary.
Too many people. Excuse, almost. Oh, I have to watch my language here. Almost say too many people believe that climate change is not real.
I know. I know. It's a problem. It's a huge problem. So Will, like, so in that case, so like, fine, we may understand that Trump is just not, presidential material. He just, should not
At
be
all.
elected president. But we can do that, like, with the free will belief. We say he's got a free will on. We may like dislike him for who he is, for what he says, for what he wants to do and not do. But like, when we understand that he doesn't have a free will, then fine, we won't vote for him. We might tell other people to not vote for him. We might disagree with his stuff, but we won't do it without we will do that without the animosity, without the negative feelings, toward him. Again, because like, when we feel negative toward politicians, toward other people, it hurts us a lot of times. It's kind of like we carry this dislike. So free will belief, kind of like encourages that, where to the extent we overcome it, we can free ourselves from these negative emotions of disliking people.
Yeah, and I know that too because there's been a lot of people that I used to hate. I even used to have thoughts of killing certain people because I was just so mad at them. But I've learned so much about, I now see other people as victims of their biology and environment, and I just see them as very unlucky.
Yeah, so it basically makes our world so much more compassionate. You know,
Yeah.
um, we sometimes we'll even feel bad. Let's say somebody commits a crime. Yeah, we'll feel bad for the victim, but we'll also feel bad for the person who committed the crime, because we have to understand that a lot of times, if somebody did that, there must have been something in their past that really, that really kind of like hurt them, or just made them be that way. I mean, we
Yep.
can use this for politicians, for a lot of different people. Yeah. All right, Chandler, I think we're like, we've got about 30 seconds left, or
Yeah, so let's see how to end this. Well, basically we talked with Will about how he felt like he had a little free will or a little bit of choice, but we explained why we don't have control over our own desires in the first place and why free will is truly an illusion, but that there's still hope that people will succeed at doing what they want, and we're not taking that away from anybody with our no free will message.
excellent.
Yeah.
So, hope you've learned something in this episode and been entertained too, hopefully. And we'll see you next time. So, thanks for listening and goodbye.
Stay safe, everybody.